Welcome to the 6th Biodiful and EY roundtable discussion. Today's topic is something that I think we all love, especially now that summer is coming and strawberries are ripening and barbecues are sizzling. We are talking about food and food systems. With me, I have experts from both business and academia. And you'll get to introduce yourselves in more detail later, but we have Hanna Hiekkamies from Valio. We have Irene Kuhmonen from the Jyväskylä School of Business, or is it economics? Oh well, you'll fix it out later. Then we have Kaisa Mattson from Fazer and Saska Tuomasjukka from University of Turku. And my name is Milla Unkila, and all of us researchers are part of Biodiful, which is a research project exploring biodiversity, respectful leadership. But so to get the other people, give them a voice as well, let's start by having you tell us why are you here? Meaning, what is your professional role and what does it have to do with food and biodiversity? So ladies first.
Why I'm here. Thanks for the invitation, first of all. So I'm Hanna Hiekkamies, VP Sustainability in Valio, which is biggest food manufacturer and also exporter here in Finland. And as a VP Sustainability, I do the strategy work, prepare the sustainability strategy and so-called big picture and what are the focus areas for sustainable business, and coordinate between the organizations and countries. So that's my main task. And then, of course, I'm in charge of the ESG reporting. So legislation is for the moment on my table.
Great to have you here.
Thank you.
Irene.
Yeah, my name is Irene Kuhmonen. I'm a postdoctoral researcher at Jyväskylä School of Business and Economics.
Both!
So I study food systems and especially the role of farmers in making food systems more sustainable, but also alternative futures of food systems. And I work for the Biodiful project, and I'm studying how the businesses in food systems can contribute to a biodiversity respectful future.
All right, great, good to have you. She also has horses. We started with that, I do too, so yeah, let's not go there. So Kaisa, great to have you here.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Kaisa Mattson. I work now at Fazer since about 4 years. This is my second round at Fazer, so it was my first job also after the business school. Started in the 90s and worked 10 years there. And then in between I was out in the world and lived for a long time in Asia working with sustainable supply chains. And that has also stuck to me. So I'm working at Fazer, responsible for our supply chain sustainability and also quality programs. It's not only that, I'm also part of our group sustainability team and then part of planning for strategy and reporting and questions like that.
All right, great. Thank you. Welcome. And Saska.
Yeah, I'm Saska Tuomasjukka and I come from University of Turku. I have to think a while because our name, the unit name, has changed. It used to be Functional Foods Forum, but now it is Nutrition and Food Research Center at the medical faculty, and that should tell it all. I mean, we are interested in the different aspects of food, especially its nutrition and also how the consumer experiences it. Now, in this project, obviously, we are interested in how the consumers behave when we take into account the sustainability issues, which are plenty when we are discussing about food. We are especially interested in the daily routines, because if you want to bring in sustainability to the table, you have to do it daily. Otherwise, it is greenwashing. So it's basically currently very much consumer science we are doing. I'm also a small scale entrepreneur, so there's the largest one and here's the smallest one. And this, I hope, is some sort of a strength in our research work as well. I work as a senior researcher.
Yeah. Then about food. When I was a kid, it was popular to have in school these friendship books where we were asked to fill what's your favorite color and what is your eye color and these. I don't know if any of you remember. Maybe Irene is youngest. Oh, you had to, right? And I remember one friend of mine answered when there was this question, what is your favorite food? Then she wrote good food. And we thought that was so hilarious. After that, everybody filled good food for what's their favorite food. But it's actually a really clever answer, because what is good food? So to begin with, what is good food and how do you define? Is it like flavor? Is it profits? Is it environment? Is it nutrition? What is good food to you? You are free to start. Saska is the boldest, so we can start with.
Okay. I can say that it really depends who you ask. If you ask Saska, the entrepreneur,
I ask Saska.
the scientist,
Saska the person. I like Saska the person. Yeah.
I was terribly envious when I was studying food chemistry, and I was just about to graduate, but I could not apply to become a food developer at an ice cream factory. So obviously I thought that that's a dream of every food chemist to work at ice cream factory. So it might be ice cream, what you already said. But of course, I mean, what is good food? It depends. Good for what? Good for nutrition, good for survival, good for taste, good for business. I'm afraid to say that quite often good for taste and good for business are different.
Oh, who wants to go next? What is good food?
I can continue. Of course, it's really important to taste. We want all eat the food that we like, what we enjoy. And I think quite a lot we are talking about climate and nature for the moment, that I would like to highlight also the nutrition. Understand what is the nutritional value you get from the food. And well, yes, very often I say that I don't like to think about so that what is good or bad product. I would like to instead focus on the plate or even the meal, so that you could balance between the nutrition and taste and climate and nature, and understand what you really eat, because it isn't so that if you, for example, replace cheese with cheese alternative, you get totally different nutrition. So that to understand that maybe you don't get, I'm sure that you don't get the proteins and calcium from the cheese alternatives, but then you have to find it from some other products. So I think that is really important. Somehow balance between all these, but of course you want to eat food that you really enjoy.
Yeah. Do you want to go?
The next, yeah, I agree. I think we in the food industry we first focus on taste. That's always, because you can't sell a product if it doesn't taste good, whatever nutritional values or environmental aspects there would be. So that's the most important. Personally, yes, I think I also think more about the plate and try to eat like variation of different foods and colorful plate and like that. So yeah, but then sustainability, of course, is very important, and I think more and more people should think about that when they choose the food and not maybe take the most convenient food, because convenient food can be not so healthy and not so environmental friendly.
Yeah. Irene, what do you think is good food?
Well, I was writing down words such as place-based, so that I think we need to have diverse food. Like you mentioned plates and meals, and not just think about single foods. I agree totally with that, and as well as thinking about sustainability, environmental impacts, and taste and nutrition. But then I thought that maybe good food is such food that is valued by its eaters. So
Slow food.
well, it can be slow food, but
Fast food as well.
If you're hungry.
yeah, but the thing is
Fast
that,
food is very much valued by its eaters.
but are they?
Well, I mean, they usually eat too much of it. So obviously it kills.
Yeah, but I was thinking that something that we value, is it something that we just throw in to ourselves in a way? So is it something we kind of stop to enjoy and think about, and something we don't want to waste? So
Yeah, could one answer be that instead of just utilizing it as a fuel to think about the experience that it gives, maybe that then we would be more willing to sort of pay more attention to the quality of it. Because as a mother, I was often used the example that there's this Venn diagram, like different bowls that you have. It's something that kids have. Kids are willing to eat the taste. Then, of course, it should be have some nutritional value, that I'm not a lousy mother. Then it should be something that's really convenient, easy for me to get at 4:15 when I have to have the food on the table 4:30. And then it should be something that's good for the environment as well. So trying to find something there in the nexus of all of these balls is something that I personally struggle with, and I think that that's something that many listeners also think, that what kinds of things should we, because there are so many different options. So are there such foods that are nicely there, which are like good for each perspective, or what would you suggest? Is there something, or is it about just making the effort and taking the effort of trying to make a plate that's comprehensive and balanced?
I think maybe there is not one single food that would meet all the aspects.
No nice pills here.
But some things are more like both delicious and good for environment. Like I'm thinking, for example, the green stuff like broccoli and what do you call kale and these kind of things, like spinach. Yeah. What we learned from our mothers to eat. And also I think pulses like lentils and that kind of beans and peas. They contain a lot of protein, and they are very, in a way, environmental friendly. You can produce it with regenerative agriculture and cheap and not so difficult to prepare.
Yeah.
I think one perspective what we very often we forget here in Finland is to think about food safety. That we really have safe food here, and but if you look at on a global level, the good food, what people appreciate, we have done different studies and asked what is good food, and it's universal. People say that food safety is the number one.
Okay. Yeah.
So well, in Sweden they said animal welfare, but the second was food safety. So that's something which we don't even think about here in Finland, because we are used to that. Whatever you buy from the stores, it is safe food. But if we look at the whole globe, the situation is not like that.
Yeah,
there is a lot of food crisis and fake food also.
Yeah.
Food is very safe in Finland.
Yeah.
So we're so used to it.
Yeah.
And in one way, I think that there are in marketing, there's a clear differences. Just once you cross the Baltic Sea, you go to Estonia, you go to Sweden, you see that preservative-free foods. I mean, that's an issue. I mean, in Finland, if somebody makes it without preservatives, they don't advertise for it, because that's not value itself.
Exactly.
Because intrinsically, we say that everything must be so safe that sometimes you even feel that the more preservatives, the better. I mean, this is a very clear difference between Finland and some other countries.
That's true.
But it was very good that you brought up these values, because I mean, being broad-minded, we can all agree that, okay, yeah, that's a good value, that's a good value, that's a good value. We then also have to include the value, the simplest way of measuring value, the price. I mean, cheapness is a value Finns relate to good food. I mean, if it is expensive, then in your diagram, if it's not affordable, then it's not fulfilling that one important criteria. I say it is over expressed at this moment right now, but still that's also one of the features that makes Finland different from many other countries. It was perhaps 10 years ago there were studies showing that in no other countries is food advertised with price first approach like it is in Finland. Whereas in other countries, the values it was taste, it was origin, etc. So I mean, there are so many different values that if we put them all in that diagram, there is no food, and not a plate, not a diet, a menu that can fulfill it. So after all, it is going to be segmented. Different groups value different parts of those suggestions.
We started with personal because it's a very personal thing what you eat, and as you said, it's not only the foods that are segmented, but people tend to categorize into different groups based on what kind of diets and how they value things. But we who eat are not the only parts of the system that produces food. And very often in sustainability discussions, we hear about the farmers and how the farmers should employ different types of regenerative methods and more sustainable farming mechanisms. So we hear about us, consumers, and then the farmers. But are these sustainability choices, how much are they actually up to our choices? You know, when I go to the shop and buy something for my kids and for myself, or is it up to farmers, or is it up to somebody else, or who can kind of make the decisions whether good food or the food that we end up eating is sustainable or not? Irene, you've done food systems, so I'm looking at you now. So.
Well, the thing is that when we have a system such as a food system, it has no central coordination. Basically, no one is responsible for the system. It's self-organizing. And what this means I think about systems as living in within certain timescapes in a way, which I call regimes. So these regimes have a life cycle, and the life cycle or the regime organizes around attractors, and those are the kind of the leaders of the food system, those attractors. And in this kind of a system where we are currently residing in, its most important attractors are built on fossil metabolism. Still, I mean, we are making efforts to get rid of that, but it's still there. It's organized around growth. It's organized around seeking for efficiency. And in a way, we as agents within the system, we're not puppets, but we are very much bound by the system's rules in a way. So, so who's kind of responsible? We all are, but then, well, basically, if we think about, for example, in the food system context, well, the sustainability impacts take place in primary production, obviously. So that's where, in a way, the agency is. But then again, it's the place where it isn't because of the lack of resources, for example. So it's a really complicated question that I could take up the whole time to discuss this. But I would still say that maybe the path dependency plays a really huge role in how the system functions.
Yeah, because if we think of systems so that they're consumers at one end, then they are farmers in the other end. And then in between are, for example, Fazer and Valio and your company. And then ultimately the retail companies in Finland, basically 3 unnamed or named retail companies. So we often hear that, well, consumers should choose what they want to eat and then they can have an impact, or that the farmers can do something. And then I know that you were just before now discussing that regulations, the reporting demands that there are. Do you feel that you actually have, how much can you impact? Because how much can a consumer or a farmer or you, for example, as producers impact? What kind of power do you feel that you have in this system?
Well, the new EU legislation is going to set the kind of framework for us companies so that we are responsible for the whole value chain. And when we started our climate work 2018, 2019, we already in the beginning decided that we will cover the whole 3 scopes, 1, 2, and 3. So farmers are our owners, actually. And we have started to calculate and of course do the actions from the farms. So right in the beginning. So we see that we can affect on the whole value chain. And also the biggest emissions comes from the farm. So of course we have to focus on that part. So I can say, my opinion is that we really can affect on the whole value chain, and it's good that it's according to legislation now, so that it's not only your own company, you have to be responsible for the whole value chain. And that's good.
Yeah. How about Fazer? You have like a Finnish, of course you have also actions globally, but you deal with chocolate and coffee, for example. So
yes. Yeah, we don't have as easy in a way as Valio to reach the farmers because our supply chain is much longer. We buy the cocoa from Africa and many different tropical ingredients and around the world. But I think our responsibility then is to make a risk assessment of our supply chains and identify which supply chains have some risk that we need to take action. And that's what we are also doing all the time. And then we have different policies, we have different commitments, certifications, and also farmer programs, because we also want to understand the condition of the farmer and do something really concrete for the farming community. So we have these cocoa programs in West Africa and Ecuador, as well as in Finland. We have also contract farmers to do the grains for our bread and cereals. So yes, I think, and then I would also like to point out that consumer is still in a very important position because we follow very closely what consumers want and how their perceptions are changing, and also trying to look, of course, a little bit in the future what it will be, because it takes a long time to develop new food items. So consumer definitely can impact us, and then we can impact the supply. So we are kind of all connected in that way.
Yeah. I'd like to add that we have certain sustainability bonus program for our farmers. We have 3,500 farms, and we pay incentive 1 cent per milk liter is mandatory actions on farms, but then we pay 2 cents per milk liter about different kind of voluntary actions, which are like animal welfare, biodiversity, and climate actions. And it might sound that it's a little amount of money, 1 and 2 cents, 3 cents altogether, but yearly it's something like 50 million euros what we pay as a sustainability bonus for our farmers. So I think that's really good, and that promotes the actions on farms really.
It's good that you,
Yeah, I think that just Irene brought out a very important issue here when she said that it is self-organized. You asked that who can make the change, and I'd say that everybody can and nobody does. Or if you're a more positive person, you'd say that everybody does a little, but that's not actually enough. And then the question is that, okay, if it's too little, then why isn't anybody doing enough? And then it's a question that, well, okay, it's self-organized. There is nobody with the power to make others to play by the book. I mean, we sort of know that here's the book, how to play it, but then we are operating on a free market. And in the free market, you don't get any benefits if you play by the book. So then we are back to the question that, okay, food system as such, self-organized, is it actually ever gonna provide us with true sustainability?
That's quite a dilemma, considering that we all need to eat.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, that's one of, there
yeah.
are certain very basic rules. We have to have food. It has to be safe. It has to be, especially in the Western countries, we've got criteria. It has to be nutritious and etc. So these sort of minimum criteria are set there, but they are also in priority order.
Yeah, but it was interesting. You mentioned the bonuses that you pay for sustainability, and you mentioned that the things are really quite weird in the sense that we first and foremost want to have cheap food. That kind of, it seems that it's a bit of a lockdown, because I know that from your dissertation, when you explored farmers, they actually feel they are quite, and we've done interview research on farmers who are really squeezed for income. They are really not doing well, and they are really struggling to survive with the prices that they are. But then at the other end are the Finns who only want cheap food, and then you kind of try to do stuff there in the middle. Does food need to be so cheap in Finland? Do we need to? I remember you, Saska, once quoted that the percentage of money a household spends on food today is hugely less than what the percentage was, for example, in the 70s.
Yeah, that's pretty obvious, and usually less than in some other countries which have different kinds of values for food. But I mean,
so should we value food more and show it in money? Would that be one option to promote sustainability? Should we just have more expensive food?
Yeah, but cheapness is value of food. So I mean, here we're in the middle of contradiction. I would say that. I can no problem understanding that some people say that on the contrary, it should be cheap. I mean, that there are benefits in that. But
you have something to think. I'm thinking, actually, it's a bit sad that in Finland, we are one of the most rich population in the world, and still we are so focused on getting the cheap food that we don't really care about environment. Immediately when our income goes down, okay, then we want to stop buying organic food or something like that. So I think, is it more about some kind of education to be responsible, educating people, how are you a responsible person in a society, and that everybody should contribute. It's not that somebody else will contribute and I don't need to do anything, like I'm some kind of free rider. So maybe it goes like kind of more deeply into our values. I don't have any statistics, but my feeling is that when I travel in Sweden or Denmark, for example, or maybe Norway, I don't know, that maybe they value a little bit more the environment and that kind of being responsible. At least they talk more about it than what we can hear here.
Yeah. But is it only kind of like the Finnish environment that we value, if we value? Because when we think of, I love coffee and chocolate, so thanks for existing. I also love Greek yogurt and ice cream, so thanks for existing. But I've never been to a country where coconut or chocolate grows, or bananas for that matter, or many of the things that we take so for granted that we do. How problematic do you consider the fact that a lot of the biodiversity impacts of, for example, my coffee consumption materialize in Africa, for example, or in South America, or in areas where there is rich biodiversity already? How problematic is that? Should we apart from making food more expensive to Finns, to also limit food to like Finnish cow milk, sorry, and then some locally sourced food. Anybody can pick up this. What do you think of the global biodiversity impacts of our current food system, where we can eat everything everywhere?
I think it's nice that we have it, because it has made our eating habits more like diverse, that we can eat much more different things, and probably there is more also nutrition and more vitamins and all kind of things, because we have fruit around the year and so on. So I don't think we want to go backwards, but definitely we who are producing the food and selling to consumers, we want to take responsibility and be responsible, and we hope that consumers will also appreciate that. Then of course there is also a regulation that a little bit help out here. That, for example, this new EUDR, this deforestation regulation coming into place now, means that you cannot import anymore to Europe, for example, cocoa that is from areas where there has been deforestation. So that kind of put everybody at least on a decent, decent level.
Maybe one thing I could mention here is the concept of internalizing the externalities, because food is cheap because the negative impacts do not have a kind of a price that we would pay when we buy the food. And on the other hand, it's not unproblematic to internalize the externalities, because then we would need to have a system for measuring the externalities. And it's always the case that if you measure something, you leave something out, and you have to make simplistic assumptions and so forth. But I think that is one of the problems still, that if food is cheap, it's cheap because somebody is kind of making free work there, either people or the nature.
Worms.
Worm work rights.
But I mean, it's really difficult if we think that everything needs to be calculated. I mean, I don't know.
Exactly.
Too many researchers needed for that. But I mean, at least we should have higher standards. And then if you've got standards, then the next question is that, okay, if we've got the standards, what about the global market? Do they have? And then again, we are there that, okay, is it actually always a very good idea food to be a global trade item? Especially when it is becoming very clear that there's going to be scarcity. I mean, the development of climate change will, for example, in the Mediterranean area, we will see a dramatic reduction of production of certain staple items. Well, that is a well-off area, but I mean the same thing happening in different parts of the world. We are going to face the question that, is it okay that we've got the money to buy the food that you would actually need for your own tables? And therefore standards, and then again global rules that at least those who can afford follow those standards.
I think we need both global and local food, but we need to understand what we can produce, for example, here in Finland, so that our northern circumstances, I think one example to say is that we can cultivate grass here, and then the animals can eat it, but it's very few crops what we can cultivate here in Finland because of our climate, and we have a long winter time, and so I think to understand what we can produce locally, and then we need the global food, but I'm sure that it can be developed more sustainable. We understand the whole value chain, and not only the climate and nature perspective. I would highlight also the human rights to understand that part too.
And it's actually quite funny that when we think about human rights, we tend to think that it's the question of, the developing world, but it's actually in our backyards, in our forests.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, I can tell you, I've been working with berry picking
Yeah.
case now for almost 2 years.
Well, I've been working with them for 15 years.
I mean, the case what is ongoing, so it's
Yeah.
not only global, it's also local.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, what you said about internalizing the externalities.
Yeah, it's a horrible word.
Externalities. An example, in Germany, one food chain did this, and basically every food cost the double. So that's a sort of example that if the problem is that if you say that food is too cheap, then you're going to hurt people who really suffer from with buying enough food with the little money they have. But the truth is, again, that 50 or 70% of Finns are not in that situation. It is a question where you want to use the money as a consumer. But I mean, if we wanted to be really sustainable, then basically the food price should be 50 or 100% higher and in really long term. And that's actually, that of course, I mean, it's a scenario nobody wants to talk. I've even heard comments in Finland where major companies have said that we are now, as a part of our corporate social responsibility, we are making everything we can to make the food as cheap as possible. This is the attitude. Yeah. So it's very difficult to discuss the price of the food in that when the big players are talking like this.
Should we have like this, because we all give our tax, the government knows how much we earn, so should there be like two food prices, one for the students, like in a swimming hall, if you're a pensioner or a student or otherwise can show that you don't really have incomes, then these are your prices for the food, and then you are a nice middle class individual, then these are your prices. Do we need to go towards that direction to sort of make it sustainable and kind of fair for people as well?
It's very common in autocratic systems.
Yes, I would speak for the free market.
Me too.
I want that.
No swimming hole for pricing policy as a solution.
But the question is that in the free market, where is the power? It is there, and it's somewhere and nowhere. I mean, you can't play by the book unless you're rewarded with financial profits or longevity of your company. But I mean, currently, you can only have a niche of those enlightened consumers who are willing to pay, and that's a niche.
But of course, through regulation, like let's say European market, you can have certain requirements for farming that are higher standards than what we have today, and that will cost more. And then you need to somehow compensate the farmers, either that you pay more for the raw materials or they get more subsidies. So I think it is possible, but probably we should start with the European market then. We cannot regulate all the countries.
Yeah. Thinking like we said, we all need food and there's going to be more of us. So think about the food system of the future. What do you think are the most critical elements that we need to do right now for us to actually, for the food system to be so sustainable that we would even have something to eat in, let's say, 50 years, because we know that the environmental trends are really alarming, and we know that our food consumption impact is. So what are the critical things in your perspective that need to be done now to ensure that our grandchildren have stuff to eat? So we can go around the table.
I think we need all the streams. I mean, animal-based and plant-based, and then also sell the lab food is how it is called, because the population grows and climate change and nature loss. So I think we need them all. Otherwise, we don't have enough food in the future. And also to understand that how linked they are to each other. Because, for example, in the plant-based, what we also produce, mainly dairy, but then we have plant-based foodstuff quite a lot already for the moment, and then we have done development in the laboratory so that we are going to have lab food also in the future. So to understand that, for example, when you produce plant-based products, there's very often side streams which is going to be waste if you cannot give it to the animals as a feed. So to understand that, and also like what we have established together with energy company ST1, a biogas company called Lantakaasu in Finnish language, something like shit gas in English.
That's a good global
yeah. So to understand that that's also one solution for the future. Not only we have started from the dairy, and now we are a food company, and we are going to be even energy company in the future. I'm very proud of that. So I think to understand this regenerative business, even not only agriculture, but regenerative business, what you can do. So I think we need all this animal and plant-based and lab food in the future.
Yeah. Irene, how do you see?
Saska was talking about the book according to which we should play. So actually, when we're thinking about the vision, we are defining the book because there are many books. It's not just one book, I mean, which could set the potential rule set according to which to play. And actually how you describe the kind of the ideal system, I think there are two things, in my opinion, that should happen. First, we should abandon this linear fossil economy that we are still embedded in. And
make waste.
Like shifting towards a circular economy. And in the food system context, well, there are basically two things, energy and nutrients. We should make the nutrients circulate. They do circulate to a certain extent, but not enough. And in order to make them circulate, we should have more localized food systems. And in order to make these streams actually effective, I think that our food system as a whole should be less specialized. So we should be having like more mixed production areas, not necessarily going back to like 50 years so that each farm has their cows and grains and pigs and stuff, but within an area there would be more diversity, and that would be also something that would probably feed into the biodiversity respectful future.
Yeah.
So that's my wish.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely like your idea and this idea of this regenerative agriculture as a contrast to this super efficient industrial farming that we have had for a long time now. Another thing, what I think is also food waste, that I have understood that about a third of the total food production worldwide, at least, is still wasted. And that happens, I think, in all the different parts of the chain. And that is a question, of course, of having better logistic chains, but also the farmers need to know how to produce high quality products and not let them, for example, mold or rotten or like that. And then for consumers to eat everything from the plate and not throw out the food and like that. So I think we can, if 1/3 we can get more just with saving the waste. So it's a lot.
And that actually comes down to Irene's first point about valuing the food.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Appreciating what you have on the plate. So
Exactly.
that, Saska.
Okay, consumer point. I mean, for consumers to have made their share, I'd say that they should go back 50 years. If we'd have the level of consumption of meat we had in the 70s, that'd be really healthy and really good for the environment. I wouldn't say that we should have the level of consumption of butter we had. But yeah,
Sorry.
it really, we live in a so affluent society that we don't have the enjoyment of food as much as we could if we had less money. I mean, we are having the goodies all the time at the table, so nothing feels the same anymore.
Yeah.
But really, from an environmental perspective, consumers eating like they did in the 70s, meat products, that would be really good.
I would actually like to add to this just one thing about valuing food, because if you buy something really delicious from the store that is ready-made, do you value it as much as if you had done it yourself?
Depends on how good a cook you are.
That's true.
Quick last question. If you had the power to impact the listeners or the watchers to change one thing in their personal diet that would be better for them and the environment, what would you say? One change in the diet. You had a magic wand. A quick round, that's the last thing. Who has the ready answer?
Organic food, because organic is a certificate, and there are many good actions behind the organic food. For example, crop rotation, and I can say that carbon farming also in our case is included in the organic, and grazing is actually very good, because then there is a poo on the field, and then there are insects, and then there are birds, and so on. So buy organic.
We can go in different order, just to be fair.
Plant-based.
Plant-based, organic, plant-based.
Yeah.
Were they there?
To make her finish, I would say that less olive oil, because that's the least sustainable item on the whole planet.
Good.
It's on red on all 7 or 9 fields.
I didn't know that. Thanks. I thought it was like a good thing.
Well, I mean, it relates to the situation.
Okay, no olive oil. Organic, plant-based, but not olive oil.
Yeah.
And you?
Well, I mean, I would have probably said organic, but maybe it would be food where you know where it comes from.
Oh, know the background. That's great.
Yeah.
So I think this wraps up. You were just taking in breath to continue, but unfortunately our time seems to be up for now. So we thank for the listeners and the audience for listening and tuning in. And I thank you very much for our panelists taking time on the sunny or rainy or, well, typical Finnish Friday afternoon to join our discussions here. This is recorded, and the recording will be available on EY's YouTube site and also through Biodiful website. And after this, you'll get a feedback form, and we wish you'll jot down something so we know what you liked, what you didn't like, and what we can do better in the future. So I wish you all a very good summer. Thank you for listening, and let's wave to all of them and be nice. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.